Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. My name's Jeff, last name Hollingsworth, and I am the owner of a company called DebtEnder.com. And I am here to share with you and display a few myths, some truths about being in debt and the financial industry as a whole. First, we're going to talk about, in this segment today, is debt settlement. First and foremost, debt settlement is not a scam. Not a scam, okay? Now, that being said, I want you to listen closely to this video before you jump into any decisions when you go with one of these companies, and there are a plethora of companies out there, okay? Now, just kind of set this out there is that I just spent a year working with one of the larger companies out there. I am no longer with that company. At this point in my life, I wanted to help people out and help them out of debt. And when I went to work for one of the companies out there, I got to know as much as I could inside and out, and I thought I was there to help. Turns out that really that was my mission, but that wasn't their mission, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to explain to you exactly how it works. Ask all the questions you can before you jump into bed with one of these folks out there. Like I said, it's not a scam. It's just a different way of doing things, and you have to decide, is it the best? I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to give you the facts on debt settlement. So back in about 2010, what happened in this industry, the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, kind of put the clamps down on the debt settlement industry, because what they did is they took their fees up front, then they would help settle your debts. And so that ended up with a plethora of lawsuits out there where companies were taking the fees and nothing ever got settled. So just understand what debt settlement means. It means debt settled for less than owed, okay? And you can wrap your head all around that. Now, first we're going to do is we're going to talk about how they found you and basically how they got all your information. It was because of you, okay? So I took a whole couple pages of notes for you today. I didn't want to leave anything out because you're making some decisions that can cause you some financial issues down the road. Number one, how do they find you? Okay, so when you look on Facebook or you look on YouTube, you're going to see some advertisements out there. Now, to say that these advertisements are false is not really a true statement, but a lot of them are just a little bit misleading, because every single one of them leads back to one thing: debt settlement with a company that is a for-profit. Now, first and foremost, it's a very subtle advertising out there. So you think sometimes you're applying for a loan to help you get out of existing debt, which, by the way, adding debt to get out of debt is just not a way to go, okay? So what you'll do is you'll see advertisements, you're pre-qualified for a loan. You'll see some guys from the Shark Tank saying, hey, get out of debt. Why pay all this? You can be out in 4 years. You can be out in 3 years, 2 years, whatever the case may be. There's no secret sauce. There's no magic wand to get you out of this debt. Just for up front, there is not. You have to be disciplined and apply some facts and do some things differently than you've currently done. Now, all these debt settlement companies are going to come across as hardship programs. Now, understand, there's no federally regulated hardship program. It's up to each individual company, American Express, Discover, Capital One, how they treat the hardship and what they allow on their platform, okay? So, getting you out of debt for half off, sometimes, but not always, because there's a couple of companies, American Express and Discover, that they don't negotiate very well. And so if you get out of that one for 75 to 95%, you're going to be very fortunate, okay? Now, today I went through the Facebook, and here's a list of the companies out there that are portraying themselves to be debt resolution. So when you hear the term debt resolution, there's a reason that they're throwing that out there, because if they say debt settlement, it's going to turn you away. So there's a couple of the companies out there, they call it debt resolution, and they have a loan program through one of their affiliates, and about less than 0.5% of the people qualify for it. So they technically can say that they started off as a loan, but you're not going to qualify as a loan. Okay, we're going to talk to you about debt settlement. Now, they're not going to call it debt settlement. They're going to call it debt consolidation. It's has nothing to do with consolidating. It's basically negotiating your credit cards on your behalf and you paying them a fee to do it. That's plain and simple. Now, you've heard Veterans Debt Relief, Kingdom Debt Relief, Debt Clear, American Relief Program, J.G. Wentworth, Texas Debt Relief, Debt Free First Responders, love that one. Then there's a lady, Aubrey Hanson, on there that says how to legally stop paying your credit cards. The Debt Free Teacher, Christian Savings Club, Veteran Supporters Inside, Hope Belief, Faith-Based Debt Relief, Amerisave, River Relief, A Path Out. I really like that one because it has a little Bible and a little cross out there. I'm a Christian, and when I just go into the Book of Solomon, it tells me what to do and not to do, and every time I don't do what I'm supposed to do, I end up in debt. So that is just the facts. You're going to see all these things out there, okay? This is going to lead you to a debt settlement company, number one. Number two, when you put your information in out there, you are selling your information, okay? If you fill out and you start getting phone calls because it goes into an automatic dialer, the dialer will automatically dial your name and your number back, and consistently, because you've got hundreds of reps out here that work for these debt settlement companies waiting for that lead to come pop through there, okay? So the calls will not stop. On top of that, if you decide not to do debt settlement, or you decide to think about it or wait on it, then your information is being sold. You will get anywhere from 30 to 50 phone calls a day just on that information alone. They'll tell you, everyone will come in and say, you're pre-approved for a loan. I mean, I got some of the slickest ads on here. Hey, we're just waiting for the final paperwork, the final approval. You're all approved. So get ready. When you fill out that information online, that's what you're getting into, okay? Now, let's just moving along right here real quick. When you fill out that information, like I told you, all of your information is being sold. You also are approving a soft credit check, okay? So when one of these places calls you, they have most of the information already on you, but they have to ask your permission to look at it with you, okay? And what they'll do is they'll go over all of your debt with you. They'll look at each one of them. And what they're doing here is they're going to be reverting back to you about how bad the situation is. This is what's called in the industry pain painting, okay? So they want you to realize how much pain you're in so that you can make a decision for these companies to help you, okay? Now they're slick, okay? They're coach. They've got scripts out there that are set to overcome every one of your objections out there, okay? So when you call in, to them, this is not a reason to say no. It's a reason to say yes. Just understand that when you get a hold of one of these people, okay? And so these when you put your information in, it pops up on the Salesforce end, and it just sends things out nonstop, okay? Now, just so you know that this is not the end for you when you get into credit card debt, because being on the wrong side of compound interest is a nightmare, okay? These are classified as hardship programs, and they want you to ask you exactly what happened. You know, did you go through a surgery, a death, a divorce? Something has to be clicked on their end to allow them to move forward, okay? Getting over your skis, spending too much, getting out of control, not really knowing what you're doing, it will still get you through. It's just not a hardship, and so something will be made up on the other end to make sure you get through as a hardship, okay? And the whole point of this, when they go through this script, is to make you aware of how bad and how dire your situation really is, but it's really never as bad, okay? They'll go over your credit cards, all your personal loans. They'll explain to you that, you know, this is just kind of a runaway train. And sometimes it really is, because they're required to do a budget on you. So when they ask you for a budget, ask you for a net income, and they'll go through a small tiered budget with just basically nothing, but ask, you know, what you owe and what you don't owe. It doesn't take into fact that you eat out, you know, $1,200 a month. It doesn't do all that. So because at the end of the day, the regulatory authority is basically wanting them to show that you can financially afford to even be in this program, okay? If you've got to a point in your life where you look at each month and you're out of money, but you're still paying all the credit cards and everything, you've got to make some changes. This is a change you can make, but I would be very careful about going into that, and I'll explain that later in the program today, okay? Like I said, they'll go over all your loans. It is not a federally regulated program. There is not a debt relief program sponsored through the VA for veterans. Those are advertisers to get your attention, to get you to look at it. Texas Savings Debt Program, no. Christians, you ought not to be in this debt, but you are. I'm a Christian, I got into debt, I know what it's like, but there is no kingdom debt resolutions that because you come in and you hold out a Bible and they say, oh, a child of God, so there's a special program for you written, right after the book of Revelations. No, that's not it. It's just to get Christians to look at somebody, hopefully having a conversation with a Christian, okay? That's all that is. And so when you look at, I think it's Robert from Shark Tank says you can be out of debt and all of them other, in so many months, that's true, you can be, but this is just not the only path to do it, okay? This path actually has some exhaust that you have to think hard about doing, okay? Now, let's move on here, all right? You're going to hear from some of the best salespeople on the planet. These people are doing millions of dollars of debt each month. They are paid between 1 and 1.5% of the debt they enroll, okay? That's the commission they're paid. So their living requires you to sign up. If you don't sign up, then you know how that works, okay? Now, here's the big thing to remember. When you talk to one of these people on the phone, the big selling point is this, that it's going to be less per month than you're currently doing. So a $40,000 credit card total, let's say you're paying $1,500 a month on that. You might only pay $600 a month into one of these programs. You say, hey, that sounds pretty good. It is, but just listen to the consequences. It requires some things of you, okay? So let's just start down that road real quick. You're going to hear that, hey, you can put all this extra money away, you can do this. Then now what you have to do is stop paying your credit cards, okay? Now, this is supposed to be a hardship, but you're creating a further hardship because you have to stop paying the credit cards. Here's what they'll tell you. Oh, they won't listen to us and they won't negotiate with us unless you stop paying. This is true, okay? You can call one of the credit card companies. You can call Discover and say, I'm having a hardship. You know what Discover's going to tell you? Don't make a payment, they won't talk to you. Okay, so there's some truth to that statement. The problem is when you get into something like that, you have to stop making payments to create a situation to pay somebody to help you out of that situation. Think about that for a second. Okay, stop paying these credit cards, Jeff. Okay, now when I do, the credit card companies will call me 3 times a day, each card, 25, 30, 40 times a day, okay, nonstop, goes on for months, okay? Now, what's the other exhaust that comes out of this? Your credit score, okay? Your credit score is going to drop. Now, once I went into, and I looked at some of these programs, they'll tell you the credit score is going to start coming back up in 6 months. Okay. My wife, I just got married 4 years ago. My wife went through a program like this, and about 3.5 to 4 years in, the credit started to creep back up because the delinquencies stay on there for a long time. Once you're 30 days late, it drops. So you can expect, if you're coming into this program with a 680 or 690, expect a 490, a 485. And hey, after 6 months, I think you'll probably be up to about a 495. Okay, so it's going to start coming up. There's a whole lot of other things that goes into factor with that, like if you continue to make your house payments and your car payments and all that stuff on there. But when you bring up the credit, they're going to say, oh, most of our clients will start to recover in 6 months and most of our clients will start to have, no, they don't, okay? I know I enrolled these people. I stayed close with them. I tried to develop relationships and I got in trouble for that because I like to be connected with the people. They call me back 6 months later, my credit score still did, whatever the case, okay? The people just reach back out to me, okay? So now, if you need an apartment, don't do this, okay? If you have a clearance, a security clearance, don't do it because it says right on the security clearance, debt settlement companies, and they're trying to sugarcoat. It's not a debt consolidation, it's a debt settlement company, okay? Don't do it. Okay, because it's going to pop up. If you're getting ready to buy a house, don't do it. If you're getting ready to buy a car, better wait, because otherwise you'll pay 18 or 20%. Getting ready to buy insurance, don't do it. Credit score is going to drop. They're going to check it. Homeowners, they're going to check your credit. If you got bad credit, you're going to pay more on your homeowners. Okay. So when they try to tell you that there's only a few things that this, really entails, it covers everything there. Okay. Now, that being said, okay, there are some situations where I had people come in and they had barely enough money to make any payments, and so we had to talk about it. I actually enrolled people thinking I was helping them out, and it did nothing of the sort, okay? Because everything I told them they could have done themselves. Now, I don't understand that there's a few states that you're protected in. I'm in Texas, this is one of them, but other states you can be sued, okay? And what will happen is that you get sued, they'll serve you papers, you'll have to go to court. Always, always, always show up if you're sued, because otherwise they get a default judgment against you, okay? And there's a certain states that have a more strict collection on that, so you want to be very careful. If you're already in a debt settlement program, it's a tough thing to get out, because you've delinquenced on one side, you're paying the debt settlement company on the other side, and now they charge 25% of enrolled debt. So that means that if you have $10,000 worth of debt, they will help you get it settled, and they'll charge you $2,500. And how that works is this. You're going to make payments, and it's going to go into a special savings account. Once that account builds up in there and you have enough in there for them to reach out and talk to one of your creditors and get a deal on the board, okay, then what happens is the money you have in that savings account, they'll set up a scheduled payment plan with that company. Okay, once they do that, okay, now you are completely on the hook. If you have money in that savings account, don't ever call up and cancel the account. Call up and say, I just need to get some of the money back. Because if you have one settlement going on, and let's say it's a $500 credit card, and you have $10,000 worth of credit cards, you still have $2,500, okay, that they can actually come after you for, in the fees in there, okay? I don't mean come after you in a bad way. It's like this. Let's say that you got into a situation and you didn't want to do this anymore, and you have already got one $500 credit card settled, and you had like $1,500 in there, and you call them and said, I want to cancel. They're going to take all that money, because they've already got one settlement in place for you. They're only going to do one, maybe two credit cards at a time. If you ever wonder how they do all this over a 48-month or 60-month, because they'll come back and ask you for more money at times, because it's not enough to get the card settled, okay? Be careful about doing that. You're not going to just start paying $500 a month and have all these credit cards set. That doesn't work that way. You have to build up cash to negotiate, which you can do on your own, okay? All right, so let's just kind of move on down the road there. Just be very careful. Make sure that they become full disclosure. They tell you everything. Ask them these questions, okay? So number one, think about it overnight before you do it. Okay, they hate it when you do that, because they want to close the deal right then. There's actually a metrics that they set up that they keep track of how many deals you close. Okay, so they're in a lot of pressure of the salespeople to do that. Number two, have them send you the document without you signing it. They send you a DocuSign. Say, no, I'm not signing it until I look at it, or I take it to my attorney, or I take it to somebody else, and look at the document, read it fully through before you sign anything. Okay. Now, I told you about if you ever have money in one of these accounts, how to get the money out. Because I actually asked my boss. I said I had a customer who canceled an account. He was with somebody and he had $4,800 in there, and he called me back and said, as soon as I said I want to cancel, they took all the money, and therefore he was out the $4,800 without anything being settled. I talked to my manager that day. My manager said, yeah, we would do the same thing. Okay, because money's available, they're going to take it out of there. So just got to be very careful. Okay, now, one thing to consider is, before I would think long and hard about this. Now, you will hear when you talk to these people about bankruptcy, okay? They will badmouth bankruptcy. Now, bankruptcy, you're going to pay a couple $1,000. You're going to wipe everything clean, and then you're going to be done. Okay, it does stay on the credit report for 10 years, but nobody cares, okay? You can borrow money, you can get credit cards. After bankruptcy, my brother went through bankruptcy, and after that, his credit score 6 months later was a 680, and everything was gone. Okay, Chapter 7 only, chapter 13 is more like debt settlement. Okay. If you have over $100,000 of credit card debt, do not, and loans, don't go into one of these debt settlement companies. Okay. The amount of money that you're going to pay, and just talk to a good attorney. As long as you own your home, or you got equity in your home and it's protected and all that kind of stuff, they'll tell you about that. Just be very careful. And like I said, these are the facts of the situation. These are not debt consolidation companies. They're debt settlement companies disguised as other things. The advertisement just goes on and on and on and on. So one other thing, just remember, debt settlement is not approved or legal in all states. Ask them why. Okay. Do you deal with all the accounts at the same time? No, it's not. And it's not. Regulators in 13 or 14 other states have made it, I guess, illegal. I don't know if that's the right word, but maybe just you can't get a license to do business in that state because regulators have considered it predatory. Okay. How long will your credit score stay down? Years. Okay. It takes some time to come back up out there. And if you apply for a loan, the loan officer is going to want to know why these debts weren't paid. Can I get sued? Yes. Can I think about it? You bet. I want to say it's an easy way out, but it's not really an easy way out. Okay. Just sit down and do a budget. Okay. Now, let me tell you what I do. I'm a certified financial coach. So I charge people $200 an hour, and I sit with them usually about 3 consecutive months. First thing we do, we start a budget. First of all these people that called into me to do debt settlement that I thought I was helping, nobody knew how much money they were spending. Nobody knew where the money was going to. I was not allowed to sit and do a budget. I had several of them email me back and call me back, want to do a budget. I get in trouble for doing that because I'm supposed to just get the sale and move on and never contact them again. Well, I have a website called debtender.com. I sit down with people. The first consultation is 100% free. Basically, I just want to see where you're at, what's going on, what's really bothering you, what's hurting the most. Okay, there's not anybody out there that can't sit down and do a budget and get out of debt. Usually takes about 3 months. It's kind of some momentum. It's $200 each time I visit with you. It's about an hour and 15 minutes. The first one is complimentary. Okay, if you want to get from Dallas to Los Angeles, you got to make a plan. You got to know what kind of transportation, what gas, what stops, where you're going to stay. You have to know every dollar has a job. Okay, it's either being saved or paying bills. All right. So anyway, I know this is a long video. I hope it helps somebody out there. I hope somebody looks at this and says, you know what? I'm not sure I want to go through all that. Listen, you can reach me at Jeff. Okay, Jeff@debtender.com. Send me an email. I'll follow up. It'll be under the questions for debt settlement. Hey, everybody, have a great day and be blessed, and just follow God. Okay, go read about this in Solomon, and I think you'll turn out just fine. Thanks. Bye-bye.